What's that sound? It's For Amusement Only, the EM and Bingo Pinball Podcast.
Welcome back to For Amusement Only. This is Nick Baldridge. So, I listened back to last night's episode and realized that I missed a couple of fairly critical pieces of information. The first is that you need to have your playfield totally level, which means in most instances it needs to come out of the game unless you set up some kind of support system so that you can ensure that it's totally level side to side and front to back. Beyond this, it's important to note that if you do the Varthane method, that Varthane shrinks as it cures. And despite what it says on the can, it can take longer than 3 or 4 hours to cure one coat. So be prepared and patient for that to be the case. So, on to tonight's topic. I wanted to discuss the fact that I got Night Club working. I got a new shutter motor and the underplay field parts that I needed. Assembled those last night. Tried it out. The game works pretty much perfectly. I got a couple of funky lamp sockets. And other than that, the game is working very well. I'm missing coils on my replay stepper unit. In a single deck scoring game, this will increment with each replay that you win, and then decrement when you start a new game. So the problem that I have is if I actually get a winner, then the game will count up replays forever. So I just need a single coil, actually, and then a couple of plungers, and I am all set with the Night Club, which is incredibly exciting to me. I was getting super excited last night, just remembering how much fun this game is. So I thought I'd take tonight, and aside from boring everybody with the details of the technical stuff that I did to get it going, just talk about the gameplay of the game. Night Club is one of my absolute favorites, and I had only previously played it at the York show 3 years ago. Night Club is a Magic Squares game, which means that the big moving numbers feature on it are 4 sets of 4 rotating numbers, 1 in each corner. The numbers rotate in a circle, and this allows you to reposition the corners in such a way that you might be able to make 3 in a row. Now, Night Club's backglass actually has, remember, there's 25 total numbers on a bingo card. So you have 16 of them that'll rotate. They don't rotate between corners, they rotate, the 4 in each corner will rotate around in a circle. So that leaves a cross in the center of the bingo card, the center line both vertically and horizontally, which contains 9 numbers, and that is actually screened onto the backglass. And then that is lit directly. Now, the Magic Squares themselves are lit from behind, and the plastic pieces, which contain the numbers, are themselves mounted to a plastic piece, which is white, screened on plastic, and so this tends to allow lots of light through, and because these are high-intensity lamps, which are installed behind the bingo card, you can see it very well. It's pretty cool. And the machine knows the position of each corner, so as you move the numbers from one position to another, the light moves with it. Pretty nifty stuff. So, aside from that major feature, this game also had what's called the time tree. And as I've explained a few times in the past, this allows you to move the numbers, reposition them, if you have that feature lit, for longer than the default before shooting your fourth ball. So, practically, this allows you to reposition the numbers all the way up until after you've shot your fifth ball, which is pretty powerful stuff. Now, by default, if you have the magic squares lit, it will light 3 out of 4 of the corners, and then you have to pay more money to get the fourth one lit. Along the way, Nightclub has a number which is spotted, and it's either number 2 or number 18. And so the machine will randomly select one of those and light it on the backglass for you. Now, if you were to land in number 2 after having it spotted, it won't give you an additional number. You just lose that ball, basically. So it's in your best interest to avoid number 2 if you have number 2 spotted. Now, beyond that, this game has 2 different colored lines screened onto the backglass. A red line and a yellow line. And there are 3 red lines total and 3 yellow lines. Now, the interesting thing about that, this is a single deck scoring game, which means that there's only one set of odds that steps. But these red and yellow lines come into play because you can light features which will double the number of replays won in a red line, triple the number of replays won, or quadruple. And the same goes for the yellow. So this is a pretty powerful feature that you likely want to play for if you have it lit. Now, that's not all. The game also has corners score as 5 in a line. So if you manage to land a ball in each of the 4 corners, and remember, you can rotate which number is actually present in the corner if you have the magic squares lit. That's a pretty powerful thing. And then the final feature is something called the Ballyhole. The Ballyhole is Bally's answer to a United feature. I'm not sure. I'll have to go back and read the book. I'm not sure which one came up with it first, actually. But the idea being that you got a special award when you landed in hole number 16. In this particular case, what it will do is light first, extra, and ball as if you had played for them without you actually having to pay. This means that once your game is over, you've shot your 5 balls, the game will automatically load a 6th into the shooter lane, and you can play it from there. That's pretty cool. Most of the time, when you're playing a bingo and it has an extra ball feature, you can't actually put the machine into extra ball mode until after you have shot either your 4th or 5th ball. So This is kind of a unique thing. Now, there are several other games with Ballyhole feature, and many of them did different things. But this, coupled with all the other features of Nightclub, just makes it a wonderful, supreme player, in my opinion. And of course, I have lots of opinions, so. But this is why I wanted Ryan to add that to the t-shirt design. This game is one of my absolute favorites, and it's a wood rail. I've always been attracted to wood rail pinball machines. I find the cabinet work coupled with the artwork to be incredibly beautiful. It looks less like it's made to prevent you from breaking in, and more like it's made to grab and nudge, which I think is pretty friendly. So, that's the story of Nightclub. I've got one more repair to do to this. I did a playfield swap on it, and moved over the wiring harness, repaired a few things that were cut out, added the shutter, all that stuff. But on the top side of the playfield, the arch had actually been routed out. So the area that the ball travels straight out of the shooter lane, up near the top and all the way over to the rebound rubber, has been routed down about maybe 1/4 of an inch. So I've been racking my brain trying to figure out how I want to approach this, because the ball travel coming out of the shooter lane is incredibly important for how you play the game. So I've been waffling back and forth between doing some kind of resin casting. That idea came from Steve Smith. I've talked with him. He's a woodworker that I respect quite a bit, his work. So I asked him what he would do, and that's eventually the conclusion that he came to, and I thought that was a good idea. But instead of following his advice, I'm going to do something slightly different. I have Varathane. So what I'm going to do is kind of a larger clear coat repair than I've attempted before, and just fill the area with clear coat. And then I'll sand it down and fill it again as need be. Do a second coat, a third, as many as it takes. But that particular spot then will be very slippery compared to the rest of the playfield. And so that game is going to play unlike any other bingo that I have in my collection, and likely different than any other bingo that I'll ever come across and play. So it's going to add an extra bit of challenge. Now, I feel like on that game, it'll probably be okay, because that game is so incredibly friendly to the player. It'll be nice. It'll keep the challenge alive for me even longer. But honestly, even if the playfield was completely blank, I would still love that game. It is so much fun. The artwork is incredible, as with most of the bingos, especially from the wood rail era. And the cabinet artwork is also very cool. It's like a scroll work that goes up the head and up the sides of the cabinet. So the very last thing that I need to do, I've already taken off the side rails. They need to be refinished at a minimum, but I ended up getting some used side rails from somebody, and I will cut those to fit and install them, and it should be quite the game. So, that's the story of Nightclub, and I'm about to don the mask and do my first coat of the VAR thing and just let it set overnight. So, thank you very much for joining me. My name again is Nick Baldridge. You can reach me at foramusementonlypodcast@gmail.com. You can listen to me on iTunes, Stitcher, Pocket Casts via RSS, on Facebook, on Twitter at Bingo Podcast. You can follow me on Instagram at nbaldridge, or you can listen to me on my website, which is foramusementonly.libsyn.com. If you'd like to, you can call us on the Bingos line. That's 724-BINGOS-1, 724-246-4671. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll talk to you next time.